So while the judges saw the resolution of a long-standing problem during the recent special session, employees of the New York City off-track betting operation were not so lucky. Some 1,000 downstate residents who worked at betting parlors in the 5 boroughs have been out of a job since midnight Tuesday after the Senate failed to pass a bailout package. Now, there are some people who are lobbying for senators to return yet again to Albany to make another attempt at getting that bill passed. But so far, no dice. In the meantime, Senate Republicans today announced a formation of a task force that will hold hearings on all aspects of the racing industry in hopes of developing some long-term solutions. And joining me to discuss that is Capital District Regional Off-Track Betting Corporation President and CEO John Signor. That's a long title.
That is a long title.
Thanks for joining me. Right. So this, actually, you think that this task force is a good idea?
Yeah, I do. I do. There's some provisions in there that certainly have to be looked at. You know, the payments we make to tracks is something that needs to be looked at, especially tracks that have video lottery terminals. They're making a lot of money with those terminals. And you know, the money we generate goes to the taxpayers, and a lot of people forget that about OTB. We send money back to the counties. It helps your county budget. It helps fund important county programs. So the payments we make, we think, should be reduced. We hope the Senate looks at that and comes to the same conclusion.
This, you know, it's sort of a long-standing joke in Albany that when in doubt, create a task force and study it. I mean, I'm sorry, I know that's cynical, but it just seems to me that after the New York City bailout bill failed, the first thing that they do is create a task force to address what I think most people would agree is a widespread problem in the industry.
Yeah, but you know, one of the provisions in the task force is looking at out-of-state internet sites, and that's an issue really. You know, all the OTBs have been pushing for a long time, and what has happened is out-of-state internet sites have come into New York State and they're taking bets from New York residents to the tune of $300 million to $500 million a year. That's a lot of money.
Right.
And our neighbors in New Jersey have cut that off. They don't allow us to take bets from their residents over the internet. We got a letter from their attorney general saying you can't do it. So we're trying to persuade the state to take that same position, because if you can bring 300 to 500 million back into this state, you're going to solve a lot of problems, and it'll bring millions in tax revenue to the state, millions to the breeders, and tens of millions of dollars to the counties for taxpayer relief. So,
okay, but what we're not looking at here, we're looking at reforming the outdated payment structure, which you brought up, regulation of out-of-state wagering, which you brought up, funding of racetracks, horsemen, and breeders, how to make the New York racing industry more competitive. All this is great. Nothing about consolidation, which the Assembly actually is holding hearings on. So why not bring that up? I mean, it's like a third rail.
Yeah, well, the Assembly is holding hearings. You know, we had 2 independent entities look at OTB over the last year. There was a report issued in January from the Task Force on the Future of OTBs, and then in May there was a report issued by the State Controller's Office. Both of them looked in depth at the finances of OTB, at the payments we make, and came to the conclusion that consolidation wasn't really the way to go. What they said was that we should reduce the payments to the tracks. We should look at the out-of-state internet sites and try to find a way to regulate those or prohibit those. And they also said that the OTBs should be working more closely together in a shared services agreement. You know, and that's something I've always pushed: one internet site, an upstate and maybe downstate phone center, a marketing plan for the state.
So that's like semi-consolidation.
Yeah, well, it's a way to find efficiencies and to be more competitive. If we had one site and we were all promoting that site, I think it would be more effective than having 6 different internet sites.
Okay. In the meantime, those people who are out of work that I mentioned are not going to be helped by a task force. And the handle is going to be lost, continue to be lost, and the liability that the state is now on the hook for is remaining. It's over $500 million. So the question is the Senate going to come back and do that deal?
Yeah, well, we hope they do. We hope they come back.
Well, you want them to do the regional, you want them to do the compromise deal, not the New York City deal.
Well, we want them to do something that helps all the OTBs. You know, our position was we did not want New York City OTB to close. We wanted them to remain open. I've worked with a lot of people down there who we worked together. We shared programming up at Saratoga during the summer. We did a lot of things together. And, you know, nobody wanted to see them close. Nobody wanted to see anybody lose their jobs. That's the last thing we wanted to see. But our position has been, if you're going to help New York City OTB, you have to help all the OTBs. There's other OTBs that are in fiscal stress, and you know, you don't fix one crisis to create another. And it should be a global solution that helps everybody. And by helping us, you're going to strengthen the industry going forward. You're going to preserve. You know, I have union jobs too, and I have 250 you know, employees in upstate New York. So I have to protect those jobs as much as the New York City resident, OTB has to protect their job.
Well, we will see, because the time is running out, and the time is running out right here, too, actually. I want to thank you in the meantime, John Signor, for coming in.
Great, Liz. Thanks. Anytime.